So what I'm going to show you, this is called digital terrain model. So this is the topography on land. So we've come back out of the lake. There's the lake. This is Mount Tarawera, and you can see those craters that we talked about before on the maps. And you can see how it unzipped all the way along, and you can see go straight into the lake. And we'll have a look at the lake. This is the bathymetry that we've done with one of these vehicles, right? Here's this incredible rift that was down from Mount Tarawera, and here's this other one I talked about before. Very, very prominent one, almost certainly a big fault going through here. Then it gets down deep, the island's just here, and there's that hook. Let's have a look at that. Oh no, that's what I wanted to show you before. When I said the vehicle crashed into that, almost certainly it crashed into that.
So is it a photograph?
It is. Oh, it's a painting actually, but there are photographs which show exactly the same thing. So here's another oblique view of what I just showed you. Tarawera is up by the ceiling and it goes off in this transect. This is other very deep part of the lake. And if I went all the way back to the old data, it shows something like this, but doesn't show it anywhere near as detailed. Then we find all that, this is the island, all the new geothermal systems down here, and I won't show you today, but there's actually a step down here. So it goes along and it steps up, and right on the step is all the geothermal system. And then we see this hook again, and there it is there. There's the hook. So if we go back, see this guy here? There it is there. This photograph was done before 1886. And these are the Pink Terraces. So this is what is incredible about this. This is a true representation of the lake prior to the eruption, and you can see this very prominent part of the lake shore coming out, which we know almost certainly was an explosion crater from some previous events. And there it is. Here it is. And then right next to that promontory part, we have this area up here. And here's the promontory part, and here's the terraces down here. So we believe that we found a place on the lake shore that we can identify from pre-1886. Then, here it is again. It's just blown up. That's why it's pixelated. You can see that promontory part, and we think that there's something if there's going to be anything, it should happen in here. So then what we can do is, this is the side scan sonar. So I'm going to blow up this area, and I'm going to have a look at this area. So here's the tracks of the vehicle. So don't get confused by that. And everywhere it's dark, it's saying, look, it's something really soft down there, because the signal that I send out gets absorbed by the mud and doesn't come back to the vehicle. So it's soft and sloppy. And you know, remember we had a look at those sediments, and we think that's what this is. So these are the center of the vehicle, but there's these incredible features here. These things here. And it is telling you, because it's white, that it's really, really hard. So it's very hard. So you get these incredible features. Moreover, which I'll show in another slide, they overlap, and I'll show you these things up close. So there's the scale, 60 meters. Whoops. And so they cover, the main parts here cover about just over 100 meters, 120 meters. So where is this? So let's go back. So we said, there's a promontory that we see in the photographs, and in the photographs it said the terraces were in here. And so we've just blown up this area, and the side scan says I see all of the stuff right there. So now what we need to do is we need to get the bathymetry and this and stick it together. And there's the hook, comes down there. It's all blown up, that's why it's a bit hard to see. But there's the hook around there, and then come round, and that's where we see these things. Right where? Here. So, and then about just over 100. And so what this is, we'll just have a look at that part of it here. And you can see there's some incredible shapes here. You can see these guys, they're arcuate in shape. They overlap. They have, even in and of themselves, they're quite complicated. They're bulbous in their fronts. They have these round holes, which may have been pools. You get this really incredible shape, textures of these things all over the place. So this is more than one level. So what the bathymetry shows, if we go back to that and we look at this part in real detail, it shows that these are flat-lying terraces. So you have these flat-lying terraces, they're very hard, they're arcuate in shape, and their location is where they're meant to be. Then let's have a look with the cameras. So we stuck the cameras down. Very expensive gear, so you never let it touch the bottom, but at 2 meters you can't see anything. So we had to get closer and closer to the bottom till we finally were near the bottom. We started to see these sort of structures, then these huge piles of these structures right where those side-scan sonar images were. And they're upstanding, and the side-scan sonar, if it shows a shadow, it's telling you it's standing up. So some of these things are standing 2 meters plus tall. And then finally, this one. So any of you who have looked at the photographs of the pink and white terraces, and there are many, they often have this sort of almost like rivulet, this texture to the front of them. The fronts are often bulbous, and you often see this null texture. So this was a photograph taken on one of these structures, one of these guys. So I'm going to leave it there, and to say that I believe that we have found remnants of the pink terraces. I don't know that we have found them all. I think we found probably just the basal couple, and it remains to be seen whether or not the tops exist or not. And it's conceivable that they do, because this system with the side-scan sonar, it can only see things on the lake floor. It can't penetrate through that thick mud. We know that mud went all over the place, and if it's more than a couple of centimetres, we can't see through it. So it's conceivable that there may be other terraces, and they're just concealed by the mud. But there are other techniques which we can do to find that out.